director for the Master of Science and Technology Leadership Program. I also teach in this program. I teach the Finance and Business Strategy class. So I have a pretty good view of what students are looking for, and obviously I get a sense for working with students. And actually, I'll start teaching on Monday. We have our residential session coming up for our current cohort. So I'll be teaching there. So I just finished up my presentations for that piece. And on the side, I teach an engineering undergrad class. So I try to round out my experience with both master's students and also a little bit with the undergraduate students. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I thought today what we'd probably want to review is let's talk about a little bit of your return on investment. So how to frame this particular program, because I think certainly at the undergraduate level, getting a degree is, pretty much needed these days. But I think the master's degree is more of an optional degree these days. So we'll talk a little bit about the return on investment, or at least how we view the return on investment. Then we'll give you a little bit of a curriculum and program overview to kind of, say about, how do we think about this? What are we trying to do with our program, and why is it different than other programs? Then I want to give you a little bit of a sense of the profile of the class, because once again, we're big fans of diversity. In fact, the graduating cohort, so many times they mentioned in their speeches how they were just shocked with the diversity of people that came into the program, especially if they're all concentrated in the technology space. They thought they'd see less diversity, but they saw great diversity with our program. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll go through the application process and kind of give you some tips. We actually had great numbers for our first early decision date, and so Susan, my partner, who's been queuing up the interviews, I think I have like 7 interviews this week, so it's been very positive. Some really amazing stories, some amazing candidates. So I give you a little bit of a sense as to things you need to think about when you're putting together your application. And then Q&A. I mean, definitely feel free at really any point in time to throw something in the Q&A. I've got that open and I'm monitoring it. And then also I've got the chat open. So it's kind of your preference as to which way you want to go with, but happy to take questions as we go along. So that doesn't bother me at all. So let's begin with the student value proposition, because I think if I were in your shoes, I would be thinking about this. So typically, we have people that are mid-career. Now, the range, we talked about diversity, we go anywhere from people 3 years out of undergrad to people that are 60 plus. So it's very, very wide range of what we consider mid-career. I would say to all of you, really what I'm looking for is just why do you need this degree? So that's really the key point I'm looking for. Definitely people that are in science and technology right now, they will have a strong track record of achievement of advancement within their field of study. And then the big driver is a leadership aspiration, meaning that you want to either get promoted in your company, do a startup, get promoted to another company. We have a lot of people that want to do, change and work for one of the FANG companies. So Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. So that seems to be a big thing for many students. And we'll have an example today of somebody who got a job with Apple in the program. So basically the program is all about really giving you, new skills, maybe a little bit of a different mindset, maybe broaden your mindset or give you a different perspective as to how to think about your career. Obviously, let you tap into the Brown network, which is very powerful within the tech space, and also professional development. We really invest heavily in professional development, and we have one professor, Robin Rose, who really follows you throughout the entirety of the program. So that's critically important. Then obviously, and especially in your application, if you can get into what's the leadership position that you're looking for? So maybe you're in an existing company, maybe you're a director, you want to get to a CIO or a CTO or a COO or even a CEO position. That's great to know. Maybe you want to switch to go into a new company. Or more recently, we've had just a ton of people wanting to focus in on startups. And that's something that we're actually making some changes to the curriculum and making some partnerships within the university that will help us deliver that value for students. So let's go back to the return on investment, because we talk about that this is kind of an optional degree. With many companies that don't require a master's degree as much as they have in the past. So we really think that as a student or as a potential student, you should really frame it from the perspective of I'm going to spend so much money on this program and I need to get a return on investment. So the idea is the return on investment is very simply, did you get promoted? So it's simple. Like I paid so much money for this degree, and then I get promoted, I get a salary increase, and then you get a payback on your investment. And so what we find pretty consistently that 84% get promoted within a year, 50% get promoted while they are still in the program, and about a quarter of the class gets promoted to the VP or above. So really getting to those higher echelon levels of leadership within their companies or within their industries. So that's really something that we track and is critically important to us. Just to give you an update on the class that just graduated last week. We've had a couple of really different stories, very different stories. One is Amber. Now Amber is and she's up on the top. She's unique in the fact that she actually didn't have an undergraduate degree. She was at university studying, and then life happened, and she wasn't able to continue on with her degree. But then wound up in the tech space, and had a fabulous career in tech. And she came into the program with a very strong critical challenge project, and actually it was a startup idea. She wanted to do a startup. Now, Addie is somebody who was in her cohort. He actually had a totally separate critical challenge project, but once he and Amber started talking, they decided to kind of come together, and he became one of the 4 investors in her startup idea. And so the good news is they were able to come together. We actually combined their critical challenge project together, and they reported out 2 weeks ago on their project. And so the report out was pretty good, because they actually they sold their company. So they did a startup and they sold it while they were still students. So Amber actually got a nice monetization event. She actually got a long-term contract with the acquiring company, and then Adi got a nice return on his investment. So that was good. And then in the bottom left, we have Duragio. So Duragio really came in with the perspective of really moving from his current company, which was Lyft, going to one of the other tech companies. So Google, Facebook, Amazon. The good news is that he got offers from all these companies, and he decided to go to Apple. So he's been there now, I think about 5 weeks now. So he's, it's so funny because he did his final presentation. Of course, we got like Apple logos all the way through, and the whole Apple approach to presentation, because they have a very unique way of presenting. So it was kind of fun to see him morphing into this new role, this new position. So that was a good deal. And then we have Ahmet, who actually came in. He worked for E&Y, and he had kind of done some startups. Decided to take a little bit of break from startups and go to E&Y. But the more he spent time at E&Y, he's like, yeah, I want to go back to startups. So he got a position at Better.com, and which is a really fabulous startup. It was so funny because he got me involved in looking at the position, looking at his compensation. So we were able to come up with some strategies. So he ended up going back and renegotiating his compensation, doing quite well. So he's very happy, and very happy to be back in the startup world again, because that Better.com is just an amazing startup to get a position with. So that's a little bit of an update on the class that just graduated. Now let's talk about what we're trying to do with students as they come in. And so what you can see is that the world is getting just more and more and more complicated. I mean, you've got all this very disruptive technology that's out there. You've got government intervention. I mean, I was just reading in the Wall Street Journal today about, like, Facebook made their decision about, should Trump be able to come on the platform or not. And of course, people get polarized on that issue. And now they're saying, like, big tech is getting too powerful, so the government needs to intervene. You also get globalization. I mean, you see that China now has become a major competitor on the tech front, and actually taking a lead, and actually very strongly articulating where they want to take a lead. So in our international class, we'll talk about, like, how does a startup compete against, like, a nation state? Because you're competing, like, especially like in electric vehicles, you're competing against not only the companies in China, but also the country, because they made a decision to put out chargers, and now, from what I understand, they have more charging stations than the rest of the world combined, and by a long shot. So the bottom line is, the technology leader that we need today really has to have a very strong skill set. And so that's where, what we're trying to do is build those transformational skills within our program. So what we've done is we put together this curriculum that has what we would consider kind of more of the foundational element skills. So things like professional development, leadership, communication, technology leadership, and then finance and business strategy. Those are things that when I talk to candidates, that's pretty much universal, what everybody wants. But then, depending on the candidate, there's more interest in big data, machine learning, or emerging technologies, or startups. That's more of our startup class. Or how do you make strategic decisions? And then we have the critical challenge project, which runs all the way throughout the entire 16 months. So we put together this curriculum to really be able to give the students tremendous skills, and actually skills that they can use immediately. And we start off with the effective leadership, persuasive communication, and professional development to kind of kick off the program, because obviously with leadership, you can day one start changing your behaviors there. Same thing with communication. Many people that we talk to in the tech space feel that they need to get better at being able to communicate their ideas, because as we all know, technology is changing very quickly. And even like with big data and machine learning, you're taking very difficult concepts to understand, like random forest methodologies, and trying to explain that to people who may not know much about it. So communication is a big deal with that. Now we really start, and what's a differentiator for us is our faculty. I mean, you can see from the faculty here that we've got a very diverse range of people in the program. And I would say this is a difference because we have relatively small class sizes. Within Brown, we look to develop relationships with students, and I've had relationships with many students both while they're in the program and also once they leave the program. I have a bi-weekly call with Sagarika, who's at Google, and we're talking about how she can make that next jump up. So she got a nice promotion once she graduated from this program, and then now she's going for the next levels within Google. And so we're having calls. In fact, yesterday I had a great call with her talking about the different options that she's thinking about. So I think that's one of the differences that you see with Brown, is that our faculty get super engaged and they're super involved, and we really enjoy building very strong relationships with our students. So just give you a little bit about the program. It's a 16-month program. Starts in February. The next cohort will start in February of 2022. We have a kind of a blended program where you get both synchronous and asynchronous teaching, and you get both in-person residential experiences that are 1 week in length, and then we have 5 of those over the course of the 16 months, and then you have the rest that would be online. So that's the way it works. So you can still continue to work at your full-time position and continue to make contributions there, but then pick up your master's degree on a part-time basis. And generally, people ask like, what's the average commitment? And it's about 10 to 15 hours is the average commitment for students during the week. Now, obviously, when we're in a residential session, we really go from 8:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. But when you factor in the virtual world where you're just doing everything remotely and mostly asynchronously, that's where you make up that time. So the profile of the people, it's generally we try to go for average of 10 plus years of work experience, and we also partner with the School of Engineering at Brown. So the degree will be a Master of Science in Technology Leadership, which actually carries a lot of weight within the tech community. Because we have roughly 50-50 mix of people coming in with Bachelor of Arts, some people coming with Bachelor of Science, but it's 50-50. And then we have people that have advanced degrees. So they could have an MBA, they could have a PhD, they could be a medical doctor, they could be an attorney as well. So once again, talking about the diversity, that's what we see with the people that are in the program. So now in terms of the international immersion, this is something that we think, since tech is becoming global, we've actually partnered with the IE Business School, and we'll have the international immersion, which will be in both Madrid, Spain, and then also in Segovia. So it'll be a 1 week international immersion period. We have a professor that what he does, he actually teaches the international class for us, and then he also is the person that will host you when we're doing this 1 week international immersion. So that should work out quite nicely. And this last time we changed from, we used to go to Korea to Madrid, and the feedback was just super positive on both Madrid and the IE Business School. Was a real good step up for the students. So in terms of the profile, on the right-hand side, you can see the type of companies that we have. So it's a lot of the big tech giants that are in there. But then you also see military people. You also see consulting people. You also see pharma is well represented, and then retail and software companies are represented. So that kind of adds to the diversity of the people in the cohort. And the average size is about 28. Last couple years, they've been going a little bit higher. The current cohort's around 37 students, which is probably the upper end of what we want to do, because we don't want to get too big. We want to keep this a small and intimate program, and really where you're actually able to build really strong relationships with other people in your cohort. It's usually a 50-50 mix in terms of gender, and that's something that we feel is critically important, because many of you know that within the tech space, it does tend to skew more white male. So we like both the gender ratio and also the students of color. And then we've actually been going a little bit higher than the 10 years of average professional experience at 13. So we've been doing really good from that perspective. So basically, in terms of applying to the program, it's pretty simple. I mean, there's four major things that you need to do. One is the personal statement. And really the personal statement is really just, why do you want to get into the program? Why is it important to you? The second one would be your critical challenge project, because once again, we need a project that really should be like an aspirational project for you, something that's pretty meaty, something that's pretty challenging, something that would be very difficult for you to do outside of the program. So we think that's an important piece. We do ask for 3 letters of recommendation from people that know you. Really don't care who they are, and I just want people that know you well. And then we look for the official transcripts. We feel that that's more. We do not require any type of standardized test, be it the GRE or the GMAT, because once again, we just haven't seen any type of linkage between academic performance and standardized testing. So we just don't require it at all, and I think most students are happy about that. So basically, let's talk about each one of these different elements, because they're important. So from a personal perspective, I would say that big piece that we're looking for is really just what outcomes are you looking for? Why do you need this degree? Why is this degree so important for you and your career and what you're trying to do? And then what's going to be your contribution to the rest of the cohort? So, because we have some people like, this time we had a woman who was 65 years old. She's a medical doctor. So her contribution is very different than somebody who's doing a startup that's been out of college for 3 years. So we really want people to kind of come in and really think about how they're going to contribute to the cohort and really help other people, because that's something that we've seen in the past work very, very well for this program. So now your CCP project or your topic that you're looking for, once again, the idea would be be bold, be aggressive, pick something that, you're kind of scared about failing. It's got to be hard, because some people come in and they, do like, oh, I'm going to do something that they kind of know they can do, or maybe it's a project that they're currently doing right now at work and they have a good chance of getting it done. And what I'd really like to do is see people really stretch and take themselves outside their comfort zone and do something very bold and ambitious. Because many times students come to me as like, oh, Mike, I've got option A or option B. And at the end of the day, I'm not sure which one I want to do. And I always go, well, which one are you most afraid of? And they go, well, option A. I go, well, let's go with option A, because that's more difficult. Well, actually, we have a good question on the online versus in-person mix. So basically, over the 16 months, there's 5 1-week residential sessions. So it's not 1 week per month. It's 5 1-week residential sessions. So we tend to cram a lot in those 1 week residential sessions. And then the rest is really being both online, or we do try to sprinkle in some breaks here and there for the students. But thank you for the question, Mike, on that. I appreciate that. So anyways, with your critical challenge project, definitely be bold, be aggressive, and try and pick something that's really hard. And you can see we've done, anything from, cryptography to, we do a lot of digital stuff, obviously, with what we're doing, doing decision-making around capital investments, UI, UX discussion, and, any type of digital online guide. So we've had a very broad view of the different things. I would say lately, once again, more CCP projects that are entrepreneurial in nature, because this is, once again, if you take the approach of high risk, high reward, some people have just said, well, let me take a swing at the startup side. So we're seeing a lot more of that these days. So in terms of the process, it's pretty straightforward. We basically have you submit your application. Then, as I was talking about earlier, I do an admission interview. So it's a half-hour interview, so it's pretty quick. I've obviously read through your complete application, and then usually it's like 50% of the time I'll be asking questions, and then I'll turn it over to you for you to ask questions to me. So it turns into be, just really a nice dialogue and discussion. And then usually within, they say within 6 weeks, but usually we get done faster than that because it's pretty quick. Once we do the interview, at the end of the interview, I make the recommendation, and then that goes to the committee, and then they either approve or reject it. But so far, they've been pretty much supporting any of my recommendations. And then you have to give the non-refundable deposit to be able to secure your spot. And then once you do that, then there's an opportunity to look for scholarship considerations and being able to get funding for it. Because I would say that's another important piece is just really, obviously, if you can get your company to pay for it, that's great. If you can, get a scholarship, that's great. But really, the scholarships, the only thing that we do, it's all on financial need. There's no merit-based scholarship. But now in terms of the early decision advantage, we basically have 3 priority decisions. We've already passed the one that I talked about. We've got one coming up on June 1st, which all of you should have plenty of time to put together your application if you're interested. And the reason why you want to do it early is just There's more scholarship funds that are available, because once we use a scholarship, then they're done. A little bit better of a favorable acceptance rate, because once we fill the class, and then we don't accept any more students. And then it obviously reduces uncertainty for you and gives you more time to plan for it. Now, as I talked about before, is we do get military, either active military veterans that can get the military support or the veteran support as well, and it's a very lucrative package, and it's something that we love military folks in the program, because they're some of the best students that we have. So that works out really well. So I would say that this is maybe the starting point of the conversation and the discussion, but definitely if you have any questions, reach out to Susan. She's been a great partner. She has been with this program since the beginning, as have I. I've been with the program since the beginning, so we know a lot about this program, and so we can help you sort through that. And once again, for us, we like to give you these tidbits of information, but we'd be more than happy to have as many conversations as you need to think through this. Oh, there's a question that came up. Thank you so much about, because since I said that Susan and I have been with the program since the beginning. This would be for cohort 6, because the question is like, how old is the program, and where's it at? And so it's a relatively new program. We feel it's very unique in the marketplace. We feel that there's no other university has a program quite like it, with just a very laser focused on the tech industry, and laser focused at really getting this very diverse cohort. So we have this would be cohort 6. We just graduated cohort 4 this year, and they had 28 students that were in there. It was interesting. We only had one student drop out because of COVID, and it was actually for health-related issues, nothing else. He actually got into a bad spot from a health perspective, but he's going to rejoin the group with the next cohort. So from that perspective, it was very positive. And then I think, as I mentioned before, the current cohort is 37 students. And what we find is the cohorts are very close. They have their Slack channels, their Slack communication. So they too tend to keep in touch. And we've had a lot of people, like for instance, in the last cohort, there's one individual that wanted to go to Salesforce, and we had somebody from Salesforce in the cohort, and he was actually able to secure him an interview with the company. So it worked out very well. So anyways, I know we've run out of time. I hope I've given you some ideas and some thoughts. Definitely reach out to Susan or myself if you have any additional questions. We'd love to help you with this decision. We realize it's a critically important decision for you, and we want to give you whatever information we can give you to help support your decision. So anyways, have a great rest of your day, and I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Take care.